Hi Janelle, so I'm just redoing video 3, which is assessing dermatomes, myotomes, and reflexes. So first we're going to check dermatomes. So dermatomes is specific nerve roots innervating specific patches of skin. So if you're comfortable, would you be able to just lift up your shirt so I can assess dermatomes? So I'm just going to assess bilaterally. It's going to tell me if it feels the same or different. So first is going to be L1. So L1, does this feel the same?
Yep.
L2, does this feel the same?
Yep.
L3, does this feel the same?
Yep.
L4, does this feel the same?
Yep.
L5, does this feel the same?
Yep.
S1, does this feel the same?
Yep.
Okay, can you just read it back? I'm going to assess S1, S2 again. So S1, posterior aspect of the calf, does that feel the same?
Yep.
And then S2, posterior aspect of the thigh, does that feel the same?
Yep.
Okay, so there seems to be nothing wrong with dermatomes. Next I'm going to check myotomes. So, camera good like that. Okay, so myotomes is just a group of muscles that a single nerve root innervates. So first I'm going to check L1, so this is hip flexion. So if he just raises his leg off the table slightly, I'm going to stabilize at his shoulder. I don't know if you can see that. Stabilizing at his shoulder. So I'm just going to be pushing down and he's going to resist, and I'm going to grade it out of 5, looking for strength and fatigability. So pushing down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that seemed normal. 5 strength with no fatigability. That's going to assess L3, which is knee extension. So I'm just going to place my hand on his anterior aspect of his thigh and then on the anterior aspect of his distal tibia and fibula. So he's going to try and extend the knee, and I'm just going to try and resist him. So putting him into flexion and then try and pull into extension. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just bilaterally, hand on the thigh, same hand position, trying to push him into flexion, and he's trying to extend his knee. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 5 out of 5 strength with no fatigability. Next I'm going to assess L4, which is dorsiflexion. So it's going to have my hand on the posterior aspect of his calf. I'm going to have my hand on the anterior aspect of his ankle. I'm going to try and push him down to dorsiflexion. He's going to try and bring his toes up towards his nose. So ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that seemed pretty good. 5 strength. Didn't seem to have any fatigability at the end. Same thing. Pushing down, and he's trying to go into dorsiflexion. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. Seemed to be a little bit of fatigability at the end with loss of strength. I'm just going to assess this again just to make sure. So I'm going to be pressing down. He's going into dorsiflexion. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that seems normal. I'm going to reassess one more time. Looking for deficit in strength and fatigability. So pushing down into plantar flexion. 1, 2, 3. So that did have fatigability at the end. So there might be a compromise in the L4 myotome. So let's make a note of that. Next is L5, which is great toe extension. So I'm just going to be pressing down on his toes, and he's going to try and extend his toes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We could also do this if he's standing and have him. I'll be pressing down on his toes, but this is good for now. Next, we're going to assess S1, which is plantar flexion. So I'm going to have my hand on the posterior aspect of his foot, and I'm going to be pressing up into dorsiflexion. He's going to try and push down against my hand. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that seems pretty good. 5 out of 5 strength. Didn't seem to have any fatigability. Next, I'm going to push him into dorsiflexion. He's trying to plantar flex. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that seemed good. Last is S2 myotome, which is knee flexion. So I'm just going to grasp the posterior aspect of his calf, and then on the anterior aspect of his thigh. He's going to try and bring his foot up towards his bum. So I'm going to try and put him into knee extension. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that seemed good. 5 out of 5 strength. Didn't seem to have any fatigability. Next, trying to push him into section. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5 out of 5 strength and no fatigability. Any pain with any of those motions? Okay, so next I'm going to check deep tendon reflexes. So this is just to determine the integrity of the spinal cord and the peripheral nervous system. So first I'm just going to assess L4, which is right where his patella is, so landmark in between his patella and tibial tuberosity. Find that space in between. So I'm going to grade it out of 4, with each reflex. So 0 being no reflex, 1 being hyporeflexive, 2 being normal, 3 being hyperreflexive, and 4 being signs of clonus. So it's going to have him look away and perform the gingivitic maneuver so I can get a good reflex. So just grade it each one. So that was a 2. That was a 2. That was a 2. Assess bilaterally. 2. 2. Jeez. Okay. 2. All right. Next, we're going to assess S1, which is Achilles. So I'm just going to have him in neutral ankle position. So he's not in dorsiflexion or plantar flexion. I'm just going to locate the back of his Achilles. And so I'm going to grade it from 0 to 4 as well. So that's 2, 2, 2. I'm going to assess the other side. Just that. 2, 2, 2. Okay, so next I'm going to assess pathological reflexes. So the first one I'm going to check, and only one, is the Babinski's. So this is just to check abnormal reflexes, which is indicative of upper motor neuron lesion. So I'm just going to, with the plantar side of his foot, with my sharp object here, I'm just going to do a C motion starting from lateral and moving to medial. And so we're looking for any abnormal motion. So abnormal would be splaying of the toes, and a normal one would be curling or no movement. So that's bilaterally. Okay, and then last one we're going to check for clonus. So clonus is involuntary rhythmic movement of the ankle while it's forced into dorsiflexion. So we're going to have him relax, posterior aspect of his foot, and then put him into forced dorsiflexion. Nothing there. And nothing there. So the only thing I found was lesion or something wrong with his L4 myotome.